Should a bakery be forced to make a gay wedding cake? I'm going to say no. Look, this is the United States of America. I don't think the government has any right to be telling private businesses what they can and cannot do, who they can and cannot serve, and specifically how to run their business. I don't think the government does. Now, if it's a public service, yeah. If it's a public thing or if it's a road, the firefighters can't show up to your house and say, okay, well, wrong race, buddy, we're not saving you. It's like, what? It's a public service. I pay into it. Private businesses, I think they should be able to do whatever they want. I think they should, because if we don't let them do whatever they want, it gets into a very gray area because, obviously, to some extent, every business discriminates because you have to pay to use said service. So are we discriminating against poor people? If someone is rowdy, if they're loud, if they're stealing, if they're obnoxious, if they smell, everybody accepts that you can kick them out for behavioral issues. But maybe those people are, they're genetically challenged and they have ADHD. So now are we discriminating against people with mental health? This is the rabbit hole you get down. And you might say those things are different from being gay. And yeah, I would acknowledge those things are definitely different. But this gets at the rabbit hole that if you are going to tell private business who they can and cannot serve, it's just kind of endless. It's a bottomless pit. And now it's just the government is running these businesses. The businesses, they can kind of do what they want sometimes, but the government can always come in over the top and say, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, or you can't stay in business. And I don't like it. Now, in terms of the actual discrimination, I would like to point out that there has already been precedent set in the United States for 10s, 20, 30 years. We have had many women-only gyms. We've got a lot of women-only spaces. We have a lot of specific race-only sections. We've got the multicultural spaces, which essentially is non-white. So anybody who isn't white can go. Or we have churches who, only serve Christians or only serve Jews or only serve Muslims. Because you can't be going in there debating people. You're going to get kicked out. So we already have discrimination. Now, it's in a bit of a different way because they're not necessarily saying that we won't serve you. They're more so saying that we're tailoring our services towards this one group. And I do think that's a little bit different. It's less harsh. But do I support it? I'm not speaking from a governmental standpoint because obviously I don't support them intervening in terms of this specific action. But do I support the kind of tailored or discriminatory businesses that we already see in the United States? I can see some cases where it makes sense, but overall, I just think it's bad business. I really do. Look, whenever you look at these discriminatory or hyper niche businesses, now, look, inevitably, some places are going to gain an audience that is primarily one group. Sports bars are mainly men in their 20s to 60s that are into sports. You know the look. They're wearing a jersey, they're drinking a beer, they're eating fries, whatever. You get the point. But they also allow families, and they also allow women, and it's not men only. It's just kind of a weird vibe when you're like, we only serve men, or we only serve this race, or we only serve this. It just seems a little weird. And there are gay bars, and there's, I guess, non-gay bars or straight bars, but they're inclusive. So I think from a business standpoint, I find it a little weird. In relation to things that people can't change, because I don't really think that's what separates people. I think chosen interest and characteristics, I would say, for example, if I'm watching a football game, I would say me and somebody who doesn't have my physical characteristics, whether that's sex or sexuality or race or age, I would say somebody that also watches football, I would rather be in that group. Even if they have everything different, they're a different race, they're a woman, etc., etc., they're completely different from me from just a pure look standpoint, but they watch football, versus somebody that was everything that looked like me, but didn't watch football. It's like, I care more about the shared interests and the characteristics. I think that's what makes people more of people, versus these kind of just like bare bones, you're filling out an application and you're filling out all the information.